I'm Matt McClure, and this is Currents. The church in New York launches a bold initiative to fight abortion.
We can't ignore this and do whatever we can to give them reasons not to abort and to help them to have healthy children in this great city of ours.
Plus, during National Migration Week, undocumented immigrants are keeping their dreams alive.
This is about human beings who need to be treated with dignity and respect.
And we'll go into the deep to talk about it.
We're not for undocumented migration. We will stand by undocumented people, though.
Well, good evening. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. Downright chilling. That is what New York Archbishop Timothy Dolan has to say about the city's abortion rate, which at last count at 41% is just about twice the national average. The Archbishop was joined yesterday by Brooklyn Bishop Nicholas DiMarzio and other local religious leaders to announce a bold effort to lower that number. We sent our cameras to the gathering in Midtown Manhattan.
For the first time in my very happy 21 months as a New Yorker, I'm embarrassed to be a member of a cherished community I now, usually with a lot of pride, call home. That 41% of New York babies are aborted, a percentage even higher in the Bronx and among our African American babies in the womb, is downright chilling.
Statistics can be numbing. Yet the magnitude of the human tragedy these numbers reveal is so great that they cry out for urgent attention.
Not only are we not addressing this human tragedy, we are not even talking about it. And I, for one, do not believe that New Yorkers have stopped talking about abortion because of a callous indifference to the psychological, physical, and spiritual toll.
We had an abortion rate 3 times the number of New Yorkers that actually grew as a percentage of our population. The minute that you tell a statistic like this in public opinion data, people stop flicking their wrist and shrugging their shoulders, and they start raising their eyebrows.
The abortion rate for the Bronx alone is 48%, and among Hispanic women, it's at 49%. It is the members of the minority community, my community, that are greatly impacted and affected by abortion.
All New Yorkers need to know that abortion has become the leading cause of death among African Americans. Something is tragically wrong with this picture.
Brooklyn and Queens are just behind the Bronx. I mean, we're the highest. Brooklyn actually is the highest, and then Queens.
We got to do more than shiver over these chilling statistics. I invite all to come together to make abortion rare.
There's so much we can do even without debating the legality of abortion. And I think what this pointed out is that the prevalence of abortion is such that we need to figure out how we come together.
We have a couple of homes for unwed mothers that want to give birth to their children, and we will support them in that. Our charities has programs.
We're going to get serious about a real attractive SWAT team to go into our schools for 2 weeks in each Catholic high school and take the seniors in a real vigorous 2-week formation on healthy chastity. If they know the truth, they're going to freely choose life. They're going to freely choose chastity.
I choose to stand. I choose to stand for life. I choose to stand for my people.
We can't ignore this. We need to pledge ourselves to do whatever we can to help people understand the consequences of abortion and do whatever we can to give them reasons not to abort and to help them to have healthy children in this great city of ours. Thank you.
Well, that event was organized by the Chiaroscuro Foundation, which funds a number of initiatives that include pro-life causes. Bishop DiMarzio actually had more to say about abortion and yesterday's event when he stopped by our studios earlier today.
It's really the issue is the hearts and minds of people that have to be approached to let them understand that there is something more than this so seemingly convenient way of eliminating a nuisance, which we know is not life is a life. And we have to support life at all times, even if it's very difficult at times to bring a pregnancy to a conclusion. Today, with medical science, it's very difficult to say, well, some children have to be eliminated because they're a danger. very, very rare. And so I mean, let's concentrate on all the other situations. So many, you know, talking about millions and almost 1 million a year in the United States of abortions, and there's no reason for 1 million abortions.
We'll have much more on abortion throughout the month, including all the news from the March for Life, which actually takes place later this month, January 24th in Washington, D.C. Well, stay tuned. There's much more currents straight ahead. When we come back, Muslims reportedly serving as human shields to protect Christians in Egypt during Coptic Christmas. We'll have that story and the rest of the day's headlines next. Welcome back to Currents. I'm Matt McClure. Coming up in just a bit, in this National Migration Week, an immigrant story that hits close to home. But first, the rest of the day's headlines. Coptic Christians around the world celebrated their Christmas today, but masses went ahead with beefed up security following the deadly New Year's Day bombing at a church in Alexandria, Egypt. We get details now from Ian Lee.
Church bells greet parishioners attending Coptic Christmas Mass in Egypt. This year, there's a new sound at the Church of the Virgin Mary in the Cairo district of Shubra. Parishioners must now empty their pockets before filling the church. The heightened security, a precaution after a New Year's Eve bomb killed 23 people at a Coptic church in Alexandria.
Some people are afraid to come tonight. Some people has afraid to come. Some people talk to each other that we can't come to church today.
Madonna Atif says there are more people than any Christmas Mass before. They are there to give their souls to God. The attack brought the simmering issue of Muslim and Christian relations back to the forefront of Egyptian society. Egypt's leaders wanted to show a face of unity. Government and Islamic leaders arrive, offering their Christmas wishes. Posing for a photo op, all smiles in front of the bright lights of the camera. But away from the tension, a man pulls us aside. He refuses to give us his name, fearing reprisal from the police. He says that cops are discriminated against in Egypt.
But nowadays I'm afraid. I now search for any way to go out. Not for myself, just you.
The community remains close-knit in the face of renewed sectarian tension. The Coptic faith has been strong in Egypt for nearly 2,000 years, and it's not going anywhere soon. Even with the tight security behind me, people are still packing the church, saying it's important to remember what this night is truly about. This is Christmas Eve, a reminder of faith and hope.
That is Ian Lee reporting from Egypt. Meantime, Muslims took an extraordinary step last night, attending Coptic Christmas Eve services to act as human shields against attacks on Christians. As the man credited with starting the idea put it, quote, "We either live together or we die together." In Laos, a human rights group there saying 3 Christian leaders remain behind bars accused of holding a secret meeting. The 3 were among 11 people arrested earlier this week after they gathered in a home to celebrate Christmas. The human rights group is calling for urgent advocacy for the 3 men, fearing they'll be sentenced to harsh prison terms. Meantime, now from Pakistan, human rights workers there say they fear for the safety of Asia Bibi, the Christian woman found guilty of violating the country's blasphemy laws. A government official who wanted to reform those laws was assassinated earlier this week. A Christian charity worker says since the assassination, he's fearful Muslim prison guards may kill Bibi. Well, much closer to home here in the Brooklyn Diocese, a Catholic parish in Queens dismissed a volunteer after discovering that he had violated the diocesan code of conduct guidelines and engaged in inappropriate banter on a social networking site. Earlier this week, it was discovered that in June of 2010, he pleaded guilty to a number of charges, including the sexual offense with a minor. According to a spokesman for the diocese, the man had gone through the proper training and had been given a background check in 2005. The diocese says that it continues to employ best efforts to investigate backgrounds of all prospective volunteers. As the first anniversary of the devastating earthquake in Haiti approaches, U.S. bishops are encouraging Catholics to pray for the island nation and its people. The bishops are inviting people to pray for 9 days beginning on the evening of the anniversary. It's coming up on January 12th. Prayers would conclude the weekend of the 22nd and 23rd when churches will have a special collection for Latin America. We'll have much more on the anniversary of the earthquake next week. Meanwhile, U.S. bishops have also announced the upcoming release of a new Bible translation. It's the first major update of the New American Bible in 20 years. The bishops say the revision uses the best manuscript traditions available and attempts to be more consistent with translations of Greek and Hebrew words and idioms. Well, stay tuned. There's much more currents coming up. Just ahead, a new year and a new hope for undocumented immigrants.
But there needs to be light at the end of the tunnel. There needs to be some hope given to people.
Well, we all know Christmas and New Year's and maybe even Three Kings Day, but did you know about National Migration Week? Well, this week is National Migration Week, a time when the church pays closer attention to the lives of migrants. In a statement, Cardinal Francis George called for prayers for migrants, especially those who live in the shadows because they're undocumented. Only a few weeks ago, the future of undocumented migrants hung in the balance while Congress deliberated the DREAM Act. That bill stirred up some controversy on Capitol Hill. It would have opened up a path to citizenship for thousands of undocumented students. The act failed to pass the Senate, but could not dampen the hopes of young men and women like Claudia Galicia, a student, a mother, and a dreamer. Look around a college campus and the students appear pretty much the same, attending classes, studying together, and dreaming about their future after graduation. But looks can be deceiving. Some are different. Some are called aliens, illegal aliens.
I just completed my 120 credits to be eligible for a BA in political science. And I won excellence in political science, and I graduated summa cum laude.
In December, the Development, Relief, and Education for Alien Minors Act, also known as the DREAM Act, failed to pass in the Senate. The controversial bill would have opened a path to citizenship for many students like Claudia, brought to the U.S. illegally by their parents.
My mom came to the United States fleeing domestic violence. I was 13 years old. I could not choose whether I wanted to come or whether I wanted to stay. I had no choice. I have no choice.
According to a recent Gallup poll, nearly half of Americans agree with Joanna Marzullo, president of New Yorkers for Immigration Control and Enforcement. They believe that having or not having chosen to come to this country should not change the penalty for breaking the law.
In these difficult economic times, we can't have illegal alien students competing for our resources, for our education, with people who are legally here.
The excuse that there's no room for people in college, it's not a good excuse to keep people who did no crime and committed no harm in an illegal situation for the rest of their lives.
Monsignor Ronald Marino, vicar of migration for the Diocese of Brooklyn, believes that children cannot be blamed for the sins of their parents.
In the case of the DREAM Act, the young people that came had no choice. It is a game that they're playing with us, the media and the Congress, to make us think immigration is just one of those issues and the church should mind its own business. Whereas the church says, no, 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 this is about human beings who need to be treated with dignity and respect.
I pray to God every day. Jesus himself was an immigrant. I'm not going to say that I'm in the same situation as Jesus, but he was an immigrant child like me.
Their parents should have thought about that before transporting their children here illegally.
I wanted to be where my family was, and I didn't realize that that meant becoming undocumented.
Of course they could be deported, but deported to a country that they never grew up in, deported to a country they don't even know, which probably speaks a language they still are not good at themselves.
Legal alien students reap the consequences of their parents' mistakes, and so therefore should go back and take the whole family back to their home country.
This is my home. I grew up here, my friends are here. I have a daughter who's an American citizen. I have the same life that you have. I'm a taxpayer, I'm a student. I play the same roles that the American people play. It's just about being stigmatized, that somehow we are different.
And it seems the stigma's stain will continue to darken Claudia's dreams and the dreams of thousands whose lives could have changed with the passage of the DREAM Act.
The DREAM Act has been killed.
But there needs to be light at the end of the tunnel.
This country has given me the opportunities that maybe I didn't have in Mexico, but it has given me a great deal of sorrow and sadness and frustration.
There needs to be some hope given to people that if we obey these particular steps, we will be able to fix our situation in the future. Right now, there is none.
We'll stay where you are. When we come back, Bishop DiMarzio joins us for his thoughts on the DREAM Act and immigration. Well, as we mentioned earlier, this is National Migration Week, and the Catholic bishops have been focusing special attention on the issue of immigration, particularly as it relates to families. Joining us now to go into the deep on that topic is our own Bishop Nicholas DiMarzio. Bishop DiMarzio, thanks for being here.
Good to be here.
I really appreciate it. Now, of course, as we wrap up National Migration Week today, give us sort of your take on the state of immigration issues here in the U.S.
Unfortunately, it's become a political issue more than an issue of fact and reality. It's been politicized to the point where I think we're in gridlock on this topic, which is a very important topic for many, many people. Our own population really needs the influx of immigrants, and obviously that has to be regulated by law, but also has to be regulated by need. And I don't think we're making the law fit the need at this time. And we have probably 12 million undocumented people in this country, which is not a good thing for them or for the country. And we need to look at regularizing the situation of those already here who are settled in, who are working, and changing the immigration law so that we avoid in the future people coming on this undocumented status. We've got to secure the borders in a better way, but also take away the incentive that brings people here, and that is the ability to work without proper documentation, because we don't really require it. And
Sure.
That's part of what the issue is today.
Well, that normalization that you talked about, one piece of legislation that would have addressed that for a lot of people was the DREAM Act. And of course, there was a lot of disappointment over the fact that that didn't pass. What's your take on that, and kind of where do we go from here with that issue?
Well, the DREAM Act, again, was aimed at children who were brought here, now up to 16 years of age, at least of the latest version of it, would have come here without their own consent. They were brought by their parents and now are in our school systems and need to progress to higher education, but without a valid Social Security number, it's very difficult to do that, if not impossible. This would have regularized them and allowed them to pursue the American dream. That's why it's called the DREAM Act, to be a part of our society. They are a part. Most of them don't even know the native language. They're born here. They speak unaccented English. They're indistinguishable from the native population, but they don't have legal status. So it is an issue that we could have moved ahead. At least we could have gotten the children straightened out, and eventually maybe the parents. But again, it became a political issue. It wasn't an issue saying this is a good thing to do, it will help a lot of people, it will help the country. Sometimes when we politicize things and it becomes partisan politics, really, politics in itself is not evil,
right.
But when you get to partisan politics where you're having fights between parties where they never were going to collaborate or work together,
Sure.
That's not a good situation.
The disagreeing just for the sake of disagreement sometimes. Yeah, there you go. Well, you know, this has become such a key social justice issue for the church as well, and I guess it has been for a long time. Why is it so important for the Catholic Church, this issue of immigration?
Well, it's like many issues of social justice and moral rectitude that we really stand for what we believe to be the truth. We believe in the issue of undocumented migration, that we don't have adequate laws to deal with it. We're not for undocumented migration. We will stand by undocumented people, though. Sure. There's a big difference. The church has been accused of wanting open borders and unlimited migration because you want to add people to our flock. I mean, that's really nonsense, is plain English. we will stand by people who are in need. And we recognize that the incentive why people come is because they need work and we need workers. And that's exactly what's happened. Even in this period of high unemployment, the sectors in which these undocumented people especially work still need workers. And people are even not willing to take some of those jobs. So that is part of the problem we're dealing with. And there's a change in the workplace and the whole labor market that needs to take place before I think we can even deal with the issue of migration.
Right. So bottom line, it shouldn't be a political issue. It should be a people issue.
Exactly.
There we go. Well, Bishop DiMarzio, thanks so much for being here. We appreciate your time today.
You're welcome.
Thanks. Well, that is it for tonight here on Currents. Now, remember, we're always online over at currentsny.net. You can also follow us on Facebook and on Twitter as well. Until next time, I'm Matt McClure. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a great night and a great snowy weekend.